Welcome to Tristar Digging. I appreciate you joining me today. We've got a cool little project, an interesting little project, and I say interesting because I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix it or make it worse. I don't know that you can make it worse, but I could probably break some stuff. And what I'm talking about today is this big old truck here behind me, the JCB 714, also known on the channel as the Hog. The Hog has had a couple of major issues. I say major. It hasn't affected the use of it. Well, kind of. But anyway, there's two things wrong with it that really need to be fixed. One, I can fix, I think. Two, the second one I can't fix. Let me just say this. The first one, the parking brake has never worked on it since I got it, and neither has the air conditioner. We're going to take a shot at fixing the parking brake today. But the air conditioner is a different story. If there's somebody in my viewing area that's watching the channel that you know how to work on these trucks and can fix that air conditioner, reach out to me. This has been the second summer without the air conditioner, and it has been hot. But what we're going to tackle today on the brakes is, and we got a friend that's going to help us out, and that friend is FridayParts.com. FridayParts.com had these brake liners available on their website, and I did look for these brake pads from JCB from the dealership, $800 and something plus shipping. And we'll look at it here in just a minute for 2 brake pads. I said there's got to be another way. I think the guy actually said, "Are you sitting down?" when he gave me the price. But on FridayParts.com, you know, I'd heard about them from Mike over at Dirt Boss channel. He's been working with them in a partnership for a few years now, and he's always talked about the good prices, the good service, and I have found that to be true. These brake pads was a little over $93. That's it. And it was really easy to find them, and so I got those bought. I hope I ordered the right parts. It's not going to be a very good video if I didn't order the right parts. But anyway, we're going to get those open and look at that, and then we're going to crawl up under the truck here and take a look at where those are. But a few screwdrivers, a big hammer, and a little bit of patience that I don't have. So yeah, we're going to get those off and see what that going to look. I can't imagine it's too hard. It's 2 brake pads. It's pretty simple, I suppose. Anyway, let's get this truck off of the trailer, and I've got to take a pressure washer under there and get the mud off of it. I know that for sure. Get it cleaned up, and then we'll take a look at it. Here's the last chain that we're going to take off, and it's on the front of the truck, and we're on a little bit of a hill here, just a tiny bit of slope. I don't know if the truck's going to sit here in order for me to take this off or not. That's why we need to fix the parking brake on this truck. I'm going to ease this chain off, and if it's going to keep rolling on me, then I'll have to put a scotch behind that back wheel or one of these front wheels to at least hold it on the trailer. That's probably not a good idea. At least hold it on the trailer until that I can get in there and back it off. This might be interesting. Well, it actually seems like it's going to sit there. But just in case, I'm going to leave that there holding just for a second. I'm going to get at least a piece of wood to put under one of these tires to give it a little bit more to hold. I found this old porch railing that should fit all the way across the trailer and be able to scotch both front tires. Yeah, just like that. We'll take a look at that and show you what that's going to do for us. And as I mentioned, it's just on a slight slope and it's not much at all. But anyway, I got that porch railing behind those 2 tires. That'll hold it in place once I let some more tension off this chain. And then we're going to, this is the most awkward piece of equipment that I have as far as loading and unloading, because you cannot see the front tires at all when you're going on or going off. I raise the bed up so I can watch the back tires and going off the trailer, but I'm just basically taking a good guess at where the front is. First time I ever loaded that truck and unloaded it, it was interesting. It was a little bit concerning. Let's get this thing off here and see what we got to do. There we go, we got the truck off of the trailer now. Let's take a preliminary look at where these brake pads are. I looked at it once before. I just remember it being real dirty under there, real muddy. I guess this truck has been buried up pretty deep at times because I found mud in places you wouldn't expect mud to be. But anyway, let's crawl under here and check that out and get an idea what we're gonna do as far as having to clean it. And then we'll have a game plan from there. Okay, let's crawl under here, and they are up in this area right in here. I don't know how well I'm gonna be able to do this. Crawl around and look. Right there they are. You can see this rotor right here. That rotor is connected to the drive shaft, to the front axle. And what it does is when you put it in park, it clamps down on that rotor right there and stops the machine from turning and keeps the hog from rolling off. I don't know how well you can see, but I'm gonna try to shine the light up in here and shine it on those pads. If you can tell, those pads are just absolutely wore out. There's very little liner left on those pads. Take a look at it on each side. And two, it's a little bit more interesting under here than I thought. I'm not real sure how that comes off. I thought it would be just something simple when you take something loose and those pads just slide out on the bottom, but I may be taking this whole caliper system off right here. And, oh man. Anyway, we gotta get cleaned up first. One other thing that I want to take a look at as I'm crawling out from under here is that I had a mechanic look at it once before. And when he had his helper there engaging the parking brake inside the cab, he said the caliper was working. It was squeezing those pads. It was just that the pads were completely wore out. We're going to try that here in a little bit after we get it cleaned up and see if see how much movement we're getting with that. Make sure that part's working. First of all, though, we got to get Big Mac out of the way here. I'm going to pull the truck up in there. We're going to get this thing cleaned up. I got Big Mac moved there, and I'm going to come back and give you an update for just a second. I've been looking for a can of degreaser called Gunk that I bought a few weeks ago to do this job with. I can't find it anywhere. Does anybody else do that? Do you buy stuff to do a job with, you put it somewhere and you can't find it? Or is that may just be me. Anyway, let me find that can of Gunk, maybe, and we'll get this thing cleaned up, hopefully. Okay, the mystery's been figured out. It wasn't actually Gunk either. It's stuff called a Blaster heavy duty engine degreaser. I found it in the toolbox of my truck. That's not where I would expected to have found it. I thought it was on the shelf. Anyway, let's crawl under here. Let's get this thing blasted down with some of this degreaser. Let that soak for a few minutes, then we'll drag the power wash over here and get this thing cleaned up finally. And I tell you right now, that's a little bit concerning that there's so much oil on that as well. I hope that thing's not leaking. Maybe that's from the engine when we did some work on the engine getting that stopped leaking. Diesel's decided to set up camp here under the machine, but I'd say he's not gonna stay here long when I start spraying this. Actually, he's gone now. That stuff's so caked on there, I don't know how well that's even gonna do. Other side now. It don't taste good, I can tell you that. That says let sit for 10 minutes and okay, we'll let it sit maybe longer than that because I'm gonna take a break. Oh, let's get the pressure washer down here now and get ready to start blasting that old junk off there. I'm going to look on YouTube, see if there's actually a video on how to take that thing loose. Everything else is on YouTube. I can't see why that's not. We'll see what we can find. Got the hot pressure washer set up beside me here, and this hadn't been started in a pretty good while. I'm hoping it's gonna fire right up. I never has had a problem with it before, but there's always a different day. Anyway, a little bit of update on the truck. I thought I was looking for some information on trying to change out those brake pads. And I went on YouTube, couldn't find anything specific. Then I remembered I had a parts list. I went back and looked at the parts list, was looking over it, and I saw something pretty disturbing. At the top of that part list, it said rear and front axle caliper. That's not what I'm working on. That's not what I'm working on at all. And I got that parts list from JCB, whenever it was I was looking at getting those parts from them. They gave me that parts list, which I appreciate that. And if I'm not mistaken, that's what I ordered the parts from. So I'm not sure. We're going to get this thing cleaned up. We're going to take it apart, see if maybe possibly they use the same caliper for the parking brake as they did for the rear and front axles. I don't know, but we're going to find out together. Good deal, started right up. We'll let that warm up for a minute, and then we'll put it to use. I think that's got it pretty good underneath there, and for some reason the burner didn't kick on that hot pressure washer. I don't know why. It looks like it did a pretty good job under there. That's something we'll have to figure out later. I've got it pretty clean. Let's get it somewhere where now it's not wet and crawl under it, and we can take a better look at that. Got her all cleaned up. Now we'll head down here to the barn where the concrete pad is, and that way we can roll around on the creeper underneath it, not be rolling around on the ground. Take a look at it, and I'm just hopeful I've got the right pads. But anyway, we'll get down here and get them off and check and see. All right, let's climb out here. See what we got to do. Oh yeah, something else that's going to have to fix on this haul truck, the hog, is this door. I use this strap right here because the air conditioner don't work. I use that strap to hold the door back. Well, that strap, which is back there tied up now, actually got under the tire when I was hauling a load of dirt, and it pulled this door from right here and pulled it back and bent the hinge on it. So that hinge is, and it won't shut. That's all it'll do right there. That's got to be fixed as well. What I want to do now is just check and make sure that that knob in the cab of the dump truck here will actually activate that parking brake. So we'll hop in there, turn the key on, and then all we want to do is activate it and deactivate it a few times and make sure that's going to move. And I'm going to set y'all up underneath, and as I'm pushing this red knob, y'all will be able to look and see if it's actually moving. Basically, all we want to do to activate it is push it in, and then turn it to the right and release it. Push it in, turn it to the right and release it. We'll do that one more time, and then y'all will be able to see underneath there if that's actually moving. Now then, what I want to do is loosen up this bleed screw right here. Don't be hating on me because my vice grips, because that's all I could find at the moment. My small wrenches are somewhere else. I don't know where they're at the moment. Oh, that's the way things work around here. All right, loosen that up just a little bit. And I got a rag to catch it. And I'm just gonna push backwards on this pad right here and see if I can get those to bleed off a little bit to come out. There it went, just a little bit. Tell you what, let me get this vice grips off of there. There we go. It's actually just pulling air back in there. All right, well, let's tighten that back up and see what we did. What we're trying to accomplish is get this little rod out right here that holds those pads in there, and it's simply, those pads will then just slide out. Let's figure out how to get that rod out and then come back. We'll get that took care of. That looks to be pretty simple. I just got to spin it around here where I can get that pin out. And then that should just slide to my right. Shouldn't be a problem at all. These things squeeze together here. That rod turned back around here now. And then just grab that pin with my multi-purpose tool here and pull it right straight out. There it is. Got that pin out now. And this thing should just slide out. There we go. Get a little twisty action going here and get that thing slide all the way out. There we go. It's pretty convenient that in this part back here, this I guess it's a plate that holds that caliper on. They drilled a hole in that so this pin would slide all the way out. That was good. Now that we got that pin out, the next part should be just getting those pads to slide out. Well, that caliper that piston has still got pressure against these pads. I'm gonna have to work here just a minute to figure out how to get that off. It didn't work like I thought it would. Pushing that piston back in there and loosening that bleed screw. Let me think about that for a minute. See what we do. There's the pads that we're working on trying to get those loose, and what I found is that they're in here. There is a, if you can see, there is a nut on the shaft right here, and then there's a like a straight screwdriver slot right there. What I'm thinking is that nut back in there, if I can get you back in there to see. I don't think I can. Yeah, maybe right there. That nut's got to be backed off, and then either this screw has to be screwed in or screwed out to loosen up the pressure on those pads. We find the right socket for that, and man, that's going to be tough too, getting a socket up in there. And but we're going to try it, see what we can do. After doing a little bit of digging there, sometimes in life you just have to hit the easy button. So I hit the easy button. I went back to the house and got on my computer, iPad, and did a little bit of research and found an online repair manual that you could buy, and then you could download that into your computer. So that's what I did. It's 15 bucks, and 15 bucks well spent, because I'm gonna need a lot more on this truck anyway. So let's take a look at that repair manual, talk about what I've done so far, and then I really haven't made a mistake yet. There's one bolt that I didn't see that I needed to loosen up, but we'll look at that. Now then, and I'm gonna do a side-by-side so you can actually looking at the brake caliper and you're looking at this at the same time. What we have is, this is the side view. That's the pin we took out a minute ago. Took that little split pin out, slid that out. And then this is the nut and the bolt that I was talking about a while ago. And I was right about that. There's a nut in there, you loosen that up, and then you turn this bolt counterclockwise, and what that does is it pulls this caliper back into that housing there, which loosens and gives a free play there for those pads to come out. If you can see those pads, better view right here, pad E, and then this is the brake rotor right here, G. So those will come out. And then the part that I missed was this bolt right here. This bolt actually applies pressure to the caliper this way. Once you start adjusting your brake pad clearance in here, you use this bolt to push back on this caliper that's in there. You got that bolt pushing this way on the piston, and then you've got this little bolt right there pushing back against the caliper. It balances the pressure on those
pads.
I hope that made sense. Let's get under here now and figure out. The only thing I don't like about that is it didn't tell me what size that nut was for I'm going to have to start hunting sockets and trial and error, I suppose. We'll get in here and loosen that nut and then try to turn that bolt counterclockwise, like I said, and get these backed off and get those out of there. Okay, let's try to start sticking some of these sockets up in there till we find the right one. Wow. It's a lot bigger than the 1.25 inch that I've got laying here. Let me see what else I can find. Okay, we are back on it now, and that one bolt that we wanted to look at is right back in here. See if I can move you around to where you can see that. That's that bolt right here on the outside, right there. Now that one of the issues that I found is it's supposed to have a nut on the inside and a nut on the outside. Well, it don't. That's part of the problem, is that you're supposed to screw that bolt into the brake caliper here and put some pressure on it and then use these as jam nuts. Well, that can't happen because there's not a nut on this side. I found that as an issue. And now then what we want to look at, and you see I'm just twisting that out by my hand. So we'll have to fix that, put another nut on it. Now then, as I showed you earlier, in this part right here, there is a nut and a bolt in there. And I found an 1.5 inch socket. I'll see if that's going to fit up in there. Nope, that's too small still. So let's go 1 inch and, what is this one here? 1 3/8 inches. Let's see if that one's going to fit. Yes, that fits. All right, let's get that loosened up and then get that bolt turned, see if we can back these pads off. That wasn't too tight at all. Well, you're supposed to back that nut off and then take a screwdriver. That's stuck now. Come out there. All right, there we go. You're supposed to take a screwdriver and go in there and turn that. I don't know how you'd even get a screwdriver in there. A little short one, I guess. Did that loosen us up any? I don't think so. Well, I guess the only thing to do is just keep backing that off. Eventually it'll get loose, I suppose. Well, that's a pretty good bit right there. Go one more for good measure. All right. Well, these are not loosening up. I'm gonna figure out what's going on here and I'll bring you back in just a little bit and figure out what's going on. Let's take a look now where I am since I last left you. I came back in here and I've loosened that nut back in there a bunch and it's not moved a lick. I went in here and there's a little rubber boot that goes over the piston and I was able to turn this nut, and that piston is turning back in here, but it's not backing off like that, like I need it to. As bad as I hate to, I think I'm going to have to take this bolt off here and this bolt off up here and take this line loose right there and take this caliper off. I wasn't looking forward to that and really wouldn't want to do that, but I cannot get these pads out of there the way that it is. This one's a little bit loose, but it won't come out. Got an issue, I'm gonna have to figure it out. Let's take this off and that's gonna be a pain. I got that broke loose a little bit, so it's coming off there. That one is anyway. We'll see about that top one here in a minute. And then there's that one. That ain't gonna come out for that, so I guess it has to stay in there. Let's try this top one to see if it's gonna come loose. Oh yeah, it's loose too. I guess there might be a chance when I get these bolts loose that maybe that'll help. Well, that ain't gonna work. The socket won't go on there. Let's find a wrench. What is that? 3/4. All right, now we can get it off, I guess. Found a 3/4 wrench, put on that side. Oh. I hope that wrench stays on there. If it don't, it's gonna fall, hit me right in the face. Oh boy, I just about did too. I no more than said that, and that happened. Oh, man, got it off. Come on out there. Ooh, you got tight again. All right, got that one off too. Now then, I've got to get this brake line off right here. And I want to use a handy dandy little line plug that I learned from my buddy Todd up at Diggin Life 21. It's been, maybe been a couple years ago. Anyway, I was watching Todd's channel and he talked about these hydraulic line plugs, and I'd never used them before, and I ordered some. But that size right there looks like it'll fit just fine. So I'm gonna get this line off. Its oil's gonna go everywhere, I'm sure, until I can get it plugged. And then we'll wrestle this big old heavy thing off there. I'm sure that's gonna be a lot of fun. I imagine it's just gonna hit the concrete floor. That's pretty much what's gonna happen. I'm gonna try to do this as quickly as possible. Let's see how quickly I can do it. Because it's already pouring out. It's gonna be a mess, folks. This is gonna be a mess. Nothing I can do about it. All right, should be loose to get that on it. Got dirt right in my eye, that's always good too. Love that. Come on, get in there. There we go. Plugged up. Thank you, Todd. That was some good advice, buddy. Need to get that in there just a little bit better. Like that. And then get it up here out of the way. Like that. All right, let's see how move anything breakable out of the way. Oh man. Okay, that bolt's coming out, folks. And here it comes down. Oh, it's stuck to the rotor. Got oil coming out. All right, we got another handy dandy plug we put in there for that too. There you go. Take a plug. That is pretty well stuck to that rotor. Man, this is gonna suck. Oh, here it comes. Oh, oh, woo, that's heavier than I thought. Oh man. All right, there's what we're looking for. We finally got it off. There's one of the brake shoes, or brake pads actually. And there is the other one. Let's get all this mess drug out of here and see what it's gonna take. Okay. There's the brake pads. Here comes the brake caliper. Ooh. There's that. And I think that's really all we need out of there for now. Whew. Get this caliper on the back of the truck and see what the deal is with it while that nut and bolt wouldn't work. Oh gosh, that thing's heavy. Got that off where we take a look at it now. We can see that really well, that nut that was in there, and this is the bolt that screws in and out, that lets that piston move in and out to get those pads out of there. That didn't work. I don't know why, but when I was turning this nut, all I was doing was turning this bolt right here too, and nothing was happening. So I've got to do some more research and do some more thinking on this to figure out why that wasn't happening. Now then, here are the pads that we were fighting to get the whole time. We'll take a look at that and I'll show you how much they're worn, and there is nothing hardly left of that pad. This being the metal part and this actually being the pad. So there's nothing there, and it's all corroded and in bad shape too. Let's take a look at the other one. The other one is in worse shape, and you can see that down here on the bottom, it's absolutely, there's nothing there. It's almost into the metal. A little bit of meat left here on this far end, but nothing to what a new one would be, really thick. And now it just simply comes down, did I order the right parts from PriorityParts.com? I'm thinking I'm gonna be disappointed when I open that box, because these pads that came off don't look anything like the pads in the picture that I ordered based on the part number that I had. Anyway, I don't know for sure until we break into here. Let's see what's in this box. Oh, wow, 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 looky there. Those are pretty, but they are not even close to what these are supposed to be. That's the difference. Now then, let me explain, let me show you how that happened. It is my fault. So I got to get back in touch with FridayParts.com and talk with Amy, who I've been dealing with over there, and explain the situation. And I guess I'm buying some more pads. Anyway, let's look at the parts list that I had, and let's talk about that for a second. Okay, here's the parts list that I got from the JBC parts dealer that I was talking to. And there was some misunderstanding, miscommunication between he and I, and it's likely my fault. I was just talking about brake pads for the JCB 714 dump truck, and I guess I wasn't clear that I was looking for the parking brake and not the rear axle or the front axle pads. When he was looking that up for me, I looked at this, and obviously there's brake calipers there and the brake pads, and it looked fine. And what I did was looked at order number 5, which is right here showing the pads, and then I just simply flipped over here to part 5, and it says kit brake pads, and used that number right there to order my parts from FridayParts.com. Then earlier today when I was looking at this, I never even looked at this or saw this, but it says brake caliper hub front and rear axle. That right there told me I already messed up. Wasn't likely the right parts. So the saga continues, and the fight will continue. I will get this done one way or another. But I'm gonna call Amy and send her an email and send her some specific pictures of the parts that I need, and hopefully there's a part number on that pad maybe. And then I'm sure she'll get me the right parts ordered to me. And as again, FridayParts.com did a great job getting me the parts the first time, and it's completely my fault. So let's see if we can get the right pads on the way. It's been a few days since I was working on the hog there and trying to get that brake pad system figured out. And I got some news back from FridayParts.com. We'll talk about that in just a minute. I want to handle a little bit of mail call before we get started into the details, really, of what's going on with the hog here behind me. I got a package in the mail from Randy Tedford up in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And, and I think old Randy's got me figured out pretty good. He sent me a CD, Bluegrass Instrumental. Linwood Lunsford is the guy who the CD is. And so Randy's picked up on the fact that I like bluegrass music. And another thing he sent me, which I thought this was pretty funny and pretty cool all at the same time. Well, he saw this shirt, I forget where he saw it, Amazon, eBay or something. And he said he thought it would fit me just well. So it says, easily distracted by excavators. Randy, you got me figured out on that one too. And I'll tell you right now, These manufacturers need to put the numbers bigger on the side of these excavators, because when I'm driving down the road about 70 miles an hour and I pass a cat going by, the number's not big enough for me to see what it is. So they need to do some work on that, because I kind of miss on what size that piece of equipment is. But I do get distracted by excavators. So Randy, appreciate that. Got a couple of hats going out. First hat going out this week is Barry Robertson in Knoxville, Tennessee. He's not too far away from Oak Ridge, where old Randy's at. The next one is Andrew Podner in Huntsville. Hope I said that right. Andrew, Huntsville, Alabama. And I got those hats going out this week. And those hats are the Tristar Diggin hats. I've got the gray ones, which is like this one. Of course, yours would be a little cleaner, not as sweaty as this one would be. And then I've got the solid blue one. So if you're interested in the hat, I'll put the my email on the screen there, and you can shoot me an email for price and availability of those hats and get those to you. Now then, back to the hog and the situation with it, with those parking brake pads. I contacted FridayParts.com and spoke with Amy, who I've been dealing with, and she said, unfortunately, they don't have that pad. They had the axle pads, which is what I originally ordered, and I just messed up, and I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, and it's a brake pad. I figured it would work, but no, I ordered the wrong ones. I got to be on the search for some of those pads, and I'll put the part number on the screen. If any of you folks that are viewing the channel, viewing the videos, if you have a source for parts, that'd be really cool if somebody could come up with a place where I could get a part at a reasonable price. I did find some already online, and I think one set of those pads was $168 to $178. Another one was like $200 and something, and one price I saw was $500 for that set of pads. Another option is, let's drop my phone. That's probably not good for it. Oh, it didn't break it, but it's still working. Another option, and somebody mentioned in a previous video, was maybe have those pads relined. And that's a good idea. So if anybody in my area knows of a place that does linings, I might check into that too, see how much that might cost. So to be continued. We'll get back to work on the hog whenever I get those pads found and get that put back together. And I need this truck working, and right now it's down. But anyway, we'll get that figured out. And what I want to talk about in this video message is the fact that we run into problems. We run into situations in life where, just like this, working on the hog, I ordered the wrong brake pads. I've got to find the new ones, the right ones, and they're probably not an easy item to find, and they're pretty costly. So there are things in life that are just frustrating. There are just things in life that just don't work out, and they can be aggravating. And that's a lot like our life. I'm not going to say that this is a big deal with this truck being broke down. It's a simple thing. But there are things in life. There are things in my life. There are things in your life that really weigh us down, that really frustrate us. And when life just isn't going right. But here's the thing. If you're a Christian, if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, there's a faith and a hope that we have in knowing that God is in control. I don't know what people do that aren't believers in Christ, that aren't believers in God. I really don't know where the hope, and I don't know where any assurance comes from. I don't know where any security or anything like that comes from, not trusting in the Lord, because He is the source of that. God is the source of peace. He is the source of healing and strength. And without Him, I just don't know how folks do it. And here's the thing about it. God says in His Word, in one place He said He'll never leave us nor forsake us. And I want to look at some few passages of scriptures that I come across while I was kind of preparing and studying for a message in this video. And the first one I want to read is this in Psalms 27:1. It says, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life, and of whom shall I be afraid?" That passage of scripture says there is nothing in this world that we should be fearful or afraid of, because God is in control and God is going to take care of those things that are in our life. That don't mean our lives won't fall apart. But I also mean to tell you that He'll never leave you nor forsake you, as the Word would say. The next one is in Deuteronomy 31:8, and it says this, "It is the Lord who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you or forsake you. Do not fear or be dismayed." Another one in Psalm 23:4 says, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me." And there's scriptures that in the list there, I think there's like 15 or 16 of those. It just goes on and on about the assurance and the comfort that we have knowing that God is with us, and that even in the darkest hours of our life, as a Christian, we can place our faith and confidence in Him because He will do just that. We are victorious. We are victors in Jesus Christ. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you haven't experienced this peace in your life, if you don't understand what I'm saying, then there's hope. There's hope through Jesus Christ. You can find this assurance and you can find this peace in Jesus Christ. But you got to follow Him. You got to put your life in a position to where you are a follower of Christ. You believe what He says. You believe what He did on the cross, dying for your sins, and you've placed your faith and trust in Him today. Have you done that? Have you placed your faith and trust in Him, and you have the assurance of eternal life and know that He is with you in this world that we're living in today? I hope this message has been a blessing to you. I hope it causes you to think about where your source of peace and hope comes from, because if it doesn't come from Jesus, I don't know where you're going to get it. It can only come through Him. So God bless you. I appreciate you watching.